XRP community, a massive engulfing candle, boom, boom, boom. This is exactly what we wanted to see in the exact right place. We've been talking about this for a long time. It feels like we've been tortured here with XRP. And to be honest, it might not be over, but at the end of the day, we have a mega engulfing candle that basically took out this sort of this fourth wave here. Not completely yet, but my thoughts are we are going to stick around and I'm going to explain what I believe is going to happen in this chart and also how it's going to work. So, I've been thinking about this a lot. So stay tuned for that. I'm going to show you exactly what I think the wave count is and exactly where I think it's going from here. But before I do that, right, obviously, we've been talking about this area for a long time. And, if you've been following my channel, you know my thoughts on XRP, which is what? Which is, right, we came down and we made this bottom here, right? We had a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That was an impulse wave. I didn't like it a lot because it was coming off of this 3-wave move. You can argue that it's 3, 3, 5. You can argue that this is an A, B, C, which would mean this is a 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2 to the downside, and we're gonna die. That could still be the case. I mean, when I say die, you know what I mean. We're gonna dump big time, right? That could still be the case, but I'm not gonna. There's no reason for me to think that right now, especially what's going on with XRP and also Bitcoin being, in that fourth wave. The only way XRP is going to fly to the upside is if Bitcoin has that fifth wave, which I believe it will have that fifth wave, right? Because we've been talking about Bitcoin. I'm not going to jump into it completely, but basically really, really, really fast here, right? Because this is an XRP, a special edition for just XRP, right? We had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We're comparing this wave 2 to this wave 4, right? So this is an impulse. This is a correction. This is an impulse. This is a correction. We need that fifth wave. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. When we get that fifth wave, and then XRP sometime this summer concludes, according to Brad Garlinghouse. Remember, he talked about his $5 trillion prediction. He knows something, right? This guy is well connected. He talks to the IMF. He talks to the World Bank. He's talking to regulators. He talks to corporations, businesses, banks. He knows things, right? He's an insider. And he made a prediction, and he knows what's going on with the lawsuit more than we do, right? There's a lot of things they can't discuss. But, with the SEC, you have big guys in the SEC, the crypto division, resigning. That's a good sign. That means, they suck. I mean, actually, at the end of the day, they're corrupt. They're doing the central bank bidding, right? Elizabeth Warren, Gary Gensler. I'm not going to get into all that, but you know what I'm talking about. So let's get back to XRP. So basically, right, we had this 5-wave move, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, right? And when you have a 5-wave move, you want a correction, right? So we didn't know the correction was going to look like this, like a madhouse, but it actually is simplistic, is simple in its form. For example, we have an A, we come up in a 3-wave move for B, right? And what did it basically, when we were up here, we wanted a C leg. So we didn't know if it was going to be a 3-wave move or a 5-wave move, for a WXY or ABC. But what we got here, actually, let me zoom in a little bit here so we can see some detail. By the way, we're back above the bull market support band. I would have never thought, that we could do that quick. I mean, obviously it's crypto. You got to keep your head on a swivel. Things happen fast. What a difference a day can make. It's crazy. But essentially, right, I'm going to remove the bull market support band just for a minute, and I'm going to explain here, right? This B wave was very important because it told me that we were doing exactly what we were doing before, right? And, it could still be that case, right? And I think, looking at all the data, we can only go by what the data says. And for me, that's what it says, right? So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, A. We have a B wave. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So this wave, this is all of wave 1, right? And this is all of wave 2. And in wave 2, you have an ABC. So this is the ABC here, right? And that is so important. Why? Because where is it coming from? It's coming from an accumulation range, reaccumulation. Now I'm going to show you this chart here. Now watch this, guys. Now this, oh, look at it. It's still pumping here a little bit there, 55 cents. Actually, let's look at the small time frames, and I'm going to get into it. Wow, now that is an impulse. That is an impulse right there, right? And it's crazy what a difference can make, because it was looking like a three-wave move. I was like, yeah, it looks a little bearish, guys. It looks like it needs to come down and build a base, right? That's what I anticipated. That's what I thought was going to happen. Clearly, I was wrong, but it's okay to be wrong, because if you're wrong, right, it's better to be pleasantly surprised than utterly disappointed. You know what I mean? That's why I try to be more conservative. I try to be more in the middle lane, not so exuberantly bullish, not so exuberantly bearish, but sort of, you know, in the middle, right? And that's where you got to be. So, but looking at this, right? This was a huge impulse right here. This was a big 1, 2, right? And now we're sort of just going insane, right? We're taking out a lot of liquidity. Now you got to be careful. Don't FOMO in here, right? I mean, I don't know where this thing is going, but it's clearly pumping big time. I mean, look at it. It's going. It's once a year, XRP surprises everybody with some kind of pump, right? And it just so happened to be on the anniversary, right? That's how you know this game is played by market makers, right? Because how is it possible for XRP to do something similar to last time, right? It is very, very possible. Why? Because charts are essentially fractals from people's emotions, right? So when you think about, I want you to think about a guy who got in a car accident and he's basically in a coma, and you can see, like on TV where you see the little line going beep, 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 up and down, and then all of a sudden he flatlines, he's dead, right? And they try to bring him back with that electrical thing they jolt into your chest, right? This chart, right? Charts are exactly that, right? Just like how the ambulance technician is looking at that, same thing with analysts, right? And what this is telling me is not a heart rate or a pulse. It is actually human behavior. It's psychology. It's buying, fear, and greed. Obviously, you guys know that. I'm not going to bore with you with those details, but essentially, we have a fractal, a representation of what people felt. And the reason why I was so confident is because that's exactly what happened the last time. For example, when I zoom out, you can see right here, right? We all wanted a huge mega bull run, right? So my job is to figure out, how do we get this big huge bull run? How do we all walk out of here and make a lot of money? Well, we have to figure out what happened prior to that big breakout. And what happened prior to that big breakout? Well, I'm going to explain to you right now. So first of all, this is a base right here, right? You can see support, support, support. We're building a structure, a concrete layered support beam, right? So, and what this is basically a phase, right? So the first phase, you have a bull run, right? So you have a rise, you have a crash, then you go into a retracement, then you go into reaccumulation, then you go sideways into sideways reaccumulation, then you blast off, right? And that's exactly what's happening now. I mean, think about how many people sold their XRP. Think about how many people complaining on X and Twitter, whatever, right? Facebook, social media, YouTube, XRP is dead, XRP is zero, XRP is doing nothing, XRP is boring. And that's true, it's torture, right? It hasn't been performed well. But, they say it's bearish and people can't understand what the charts are doing. Even top analysts that I know, that I talk to, they say, it's very challenging structure. But when I look at it, I'm like, I don't know if they don't see it or what, because what I'm looking at, to me, is very bullish. And at the end of the day, it's, that's why I've never sold my XRP. That's why XRP is my biggest position. Not because I know what's going to happen in the future, but because what I'm looking at the chart is actually quite astonishing to me. So essentially, we have a bigger range here. And by the way, this is a huge base. This base is the biggest base in crypto history by far, right? Obviously, you can talk about Litecoin and XLM and things like that. But as far as the top dog coin, this is the biggest base in history, right? And basically what's happening here, like I said, is basically a smaller version of this. So if we got this huge thing, right, based off this, what the heck is going to happen now, right? I mean, it's 3 times as big. So, wow. So, okay, so obviously we have a rise, right? We have a rise. We have a crash, we have a retrace, reaccumulation, sideways, blast off. Rise, crash, retrace, reaccumulation, sideways, blast off. Same thing, we got that. I've said that many, many times. I continue to repeat it in case people are new, right? But at the end of the day, let's jump into what happened back over here, because to me, this was very important, right? We bottomed out after coming from our retracement. We came back down and we landed in the reaccumulation. We bounced, support, 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 support. We're bouncing. People are trying to figure out what's happening. And look right here. You can see right there, we actually broke out a little bit, which what? Reeled in a bunch of liquidity, which then what happened? Then they took it down. So this was a fake out. Always the first one's a fake out. They fake you out to the upside. They bring it back down, right? And then they make you think, oh, that was a fake out, so this must be the real move. That was a double fake out. And what do we call? We call that an expanded flat, right? Where basically, you know, we have sort of this A, B, C structure where the B wave comes up at least 90%, in this case above the A wave, right? Or above the zero wave. So, you know, it's essentially the same thing. So what happened here is we came down in 3. And also, this can also be interpreted as a Wyckoff accumulation range. There's a lot. So if I'm talking fast, that's because there's a lot for me to talk about. There's so much for me to explain. And, you know, so it might take a little longer than most videos, right? Most people put out 10, 12-minute videos. I try to do that, but there's just so much for me to talk about. It's hard for me to just file it down, especially like today. Today deserves an hour-long video. So we'll see if we get there. Okay, but anyway, exciting, right? I'm excited because, you know, this is what we wanted to happen. This is like a 1 in 6 chance of happening, and it's, to me, it's happening, right? Now, obviously, I'm going to jump into the short-term price action. It's nothing to get too excited about. We still have a lot of work to do with XRP. But let me jump back into here. So this right here obviously was a liquidity grab. A liquidity grab is essentially you're basically tapping a keg for a college party. No, I'm just kidding. You're tapping into basically a reservoir, right? And inside that reservoir you have tons of liquidity. And basically, you know, market makers, they need to fill their orders, right? And it's really hard for someone who's a multi-millionaire to fill his $10 million order or whatever. So they can't just buy at random spots. So what do? They target liquidity pockets, right? So that's what they did. This was a clear support line here. Retail can draw that line. You can see perfect pinpoint nails, right? And then we break it. People go short, causing an influx of liquidity. Then that $10 million long position just got filled. Bam, we explode to the upside. So that's important to understand why that's happening and where it's happening, right? And then also from an Elliott wave perspective, you can say that this was a triangle, right? We had an A, a B, a C, right? We went 3 up, and D actually here, 1, 2, 3, D, and then we had 1, 2, 3, and E, and that's what exploded to the upside. And that's exactly what's happening here, right? We have A, B, C, D, E, same thing. So Let me remove that. Now let's gravitate back towards over here. And actually what I'm going to do is bump that up to the 8-day chart so I can kind of have them both in the same area so we can look at them at the same time. So let's start with our retracement. So back when XRP was going into a retracement, Bitcoin, Ethereum, Cardano, Matic, Solana, Dogecoin, what were they doing? They were exploding to the moon. They were going incredibly high, right? Basically, all those guys that I just named, right? Doge, right? Bitcoin, Ethereum, Matic, Solana, all of them, right? And many more. They all went to the party. They all went to the club. They all went out drinking. They went all out having a good time, exploding, right? What did XRP do? XRP wasn't invited. Why? Because XRP didn't have its invitation. Why? Because XRP got sued, right? So Bitcoin and Ethereum and Matic and Solana and all of them were like, hey, boy, you don't have your credentials. You just got sued. I don't want nothing to do with you, right? And XRP was sad, right? So what did XRP do? It only went up to here, right? So then it was a big disappointment. So while everybody was out drinking, partying, having a good time, XRP was what? Was at home studying for the big math exam, right? Working out, getting stronger, drinking protein shakes while they're out drinking vodka. So at the end of the day, XRP did the right thing, right? The moral thing, the conscious thing. And XRP actually is stronger now for it. Now, you can say, what the heck are you talking about? This is a crazy analogy / metaphor. What I'm explaining is XRP, this retracement wasn't a bull run. That is so important because what it did is it built more structure into this concrete beam, or this, I keep saying concrete, this steel beam, right? So look at this as a steel beam of support, right? This is another steel beam of support, right? If XRP, let me just do this and do this. If XRP exploded, that support beam would be so much smaller, right? So yes, it sucked at the time. Yes, everybody was making fun of it. Yes, it was a disappointment. But now you fast forward today, right? Now let me show you what, for example, Ethereum did, right? So this is basically what XRP did on Ethereum chart. It came down, it had a retracement, then it came back down, then it went sideways, right? What Ethereum did is it actually exploded, came back down, and now it's retracing, right? So which coin would you rather hold? Ethereum is way the heck up here. Matic is way the heck up here. Solana's way up here. Bitcoin's way up here, right? The whole market is up here. XRP is way down here. So there's so much more wiggle room. There's so much more support. There's so much more everything. What happens when the lawsuit ends? Boop. What happens when we get an XRP ETF? Boop. What happens when we get a Ripple IPO? Boop. What happens when Trump becomes president? Boop. What happens when we get real regulation? Boop. Right? I mean, come on. It's a killer deal, guys. In my opinion, that's why I'm so bullish on X. It's boring. Everybody says it sucks, and that's what reaccumulation zones do. They torture you. They make you think nothing's going to happen. Then all of a sudden, something huge happens, right? So this is a big candle. Now, I don't think this candle is going to last, right? Again, I'm going to get into small time frames, and you're going to want to listen to that because I'm going to tell you what I think is happening here, and I'm going to explain to you when I think it's going to happen. So, but before I do that, let me jump back over here. So, right, we had our retracement. I just explained that, right? Bitcoin, Ethereum, they all went to the club, the party, whatever, and XRP was grounded because XRP got sued, right? So it didn't get to participate, right? But actually it made that person stronger, right? It made that person stronger. And at the end of the day, right, that's what we want. We want layers of strength in here. So let's move on to this down move here. So, but before I do that, let me show you Bitcoin. Bitcoin, right, as XRP was going down into reaccumulation, Bitcoin was starting a new bear market. So that means what? The crypto market is a cycle and a half ahead of XRP, which means what? XRP has a lot of catching up to do, right? And people say, oh, that makes XRP weak. But I actually disagree. Why? Because how is it possible that XRP can hold a top 10 position while being sued by the SEC, getting delisted from Coinbase and all the major exchanges, while not participating in the bull run, right? If Cardano got sued and never made a new all-time high and got delisted from Coinbase, it would be knocked out of the top 10 so fast it would make your head spin. So XRP did that, and it still held a top 10 title. That, to me, everyone says it's weak. No, that to me shows incredible strength. How is it possible XRP can hold a top 10 position despite all of that carnage that it had to deal with? And all it did is make XRP stronger, right? I go back to the previous bull run, right? When I use that analogy because it's so important, right? Everybody else went out having a good time while XRP was studying for the exam, right? So again, let me remove this, and now I can explain it. Okay, so we had a bottom here, right? We have a bottom here. We came up, right, in this yellow box, and now we're sort of going sideways. And this started to remind me of this. It took a while for it to print itself. It took a while for itself, for it to reveal itself, but we eventually figured it out. So, and essentially, right, we bounced off support. Actually, let me just zoom in here so we can get a better look here, right? This was the Judge Torres ruling right here. Bam, we went straight up. But look what happened after the ruling. Bam, we went straight back down. So could that happen again? Absolutely. I'm going to explain that. But I don't think it's going to be that simple, right? But essentially, we came down. We're holding support. We're oscillating back and forth, exactly like the last time. And people can look at this just as oscillation, but I look at this as a count, right? Obviously, I just talked about that ABC. But essentially, we came down here, and this is the important part right here. I'm going to actually put it right there. So remember how XRP dumped right here? And I said it's possible, right? Go back and watch the videos. I said it's possible that that was the liquidity grab if it was a WXY. But it's probably not likely because it didn't have enough time to sort of absorb that liquidity, right? And a lot of times price comes back down to revisit at least 50% of that wick, right? So when we fast forward and see what happened, basically we went into this type of triangle pattern here, right? We went in this big triangle pattern. XRP's just pulled back a little bit. It was 55, now back down to 54. I think it's getting a little bit oversold. I'm sure there's bearish divergence on the chart as well. Let's see here. A little bit. Yeah, you can see a little bit. But we'll see how that continues to progress. But the important thing is getting that first wave, right? That's what we want, that first wave. But yeah, we had all of this oscillation. We came down here and we created this triangle. XRP is full of triangles, right? And there was a triangle here, a triangle here. Basically, this is going up and down, up and down, up and down. And then even in here is going up and down, up and down, up and down. And even here is going up and down, up and down. It's basically like oscillating, right? It's sort of, and oscillations are good because basically what it's doing is it's kind of like coiling up. The pressure is getting stronger and stronger and stronger. It's building, right? So eventually you get divergence. And when you have 5 waves, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and you have divergence in here, you get basically what is called a short squeeze, right? Where the shorts believe that the price is going down, 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 down. And everybody believed that, right? Everybody shorted XRP. Everybody sold XRP. Everybody says it's going down. What happened? They all got liquidated. They all got crushed, right? XRP had to spank them a little bit. You know what I mean? So what happened here was actually quite interesting. We had a liquidity grab here, but we came up and we were sort of ranging. I said it's possible that this is reaccumulation, but not likely because we need a fifth wave, right? If this is going to play out. And then also, when we pulled up our retracement levels, right, what did we talk about? We talked about XRP getting back to where? Actually, let me actually extend this a little bit here. We talked about it getting at least to the 702, right? At least to the 702. And we actually pinpoint nailed the 786. So we had a we nailed it, right? We don't want to go any lower than that, really. And that came at 38 cents. Some exchanges had it at 37. I actually had a buy order at 37. Again, it didn't get filled, but I did get filled at 39. So I'm happy, right? I'm happy with that. But we essentially came down, right, in this 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This was a big liquidity grab, right? And when we compare that, right, I'm going to actually take a screenshot and we're going to compare these two side by side. This is actually really interesting. So if you are still with me, I really appreciate it, because this is important to me as an investor. And if you don't care about XRP, I understand, I get it. But at the end of the day, what is good for XRP is good for all of crypto. It doesn't matter if you're holding Theta, Ethereum, whatever. It is good for all of crypto, because any sign of strength, especially XRP, because when you're dealing with the lawsuit, right? If Ripple wins the lawsuit, or they settle, or basically ends, what it's going to do is it's going to give companies like Matic, Polygon, Cardano, Ethereum, it's going to give them conviction, it's going to give them confidence, it's going to give them, even retail, even the investors, it's going to give them more confidence and conviction that if they get sued, they can use the Ripple argument. Because what happened between Ripple and the SEC basically set a precedent for all others, right? So whatever, this is why I say this is the crypto trial of the century. Whatever happens with this case is going to affect all of crypto, not just Ripple, right? So all the Ripple haters out there, right? They say they hope XRP loses the lawsuit, but you're basically hoping for your coin to get screwed over as well, because you think they're going to stop at Ripple. No, they attacked Ripple because Ripple was the biggest competition, right? It's like a guy walking into prison. You see in the movie, right? A guy goes into prison and he doesn't want to get beat up. So what does he do? He finds the biggest guy and knocks him out. That's what SEC did, right? He's looking at the crypto landscape. He's looking at the guys. He's sizing them up. He goes, look at Ripple. Look at his arms. Look how big they are. He can knock somebody out. So I'm going to go. The SEC went over there and tried to do it. But guess what? It didn't work out so well for them. So what we basically have right back in the day is the same kind of thing, right? So I'm going to take a screenshot and we're going to compare it sort of side by side. So this is side by side. This was actually July 6th, right? And I talked about this on my channel. I've been talking about this a while, saying, look, we are in a rise, crash, retrace, reaccumulation. We're in a reaccumulation structure, right? We are oscillating within that reaccumulation structure. We just had a liquidity grab. And when we compare that to what happened last time, that's exactly what we can see. And look what the candle looked like. We were at 44 cents. So now 10 cents higher, right? Where are we now? This was actually the video I put out as well. And then fast forward a few days later, I put another video out basically explaining cycle 1 and cycle 2. So if you had a chance, go back and watch that video. I've kind of been neglecting XRP a little bit, but the last 2 weeks, I've been really sort of gravitating towards it and talking about it more and more and more and more. Actually, within the last week, really, or a week and a half. And because of that fifth wave down, that's where I'm like, whoa, this thing is getting serious. And I'm going to show you something else regarding the fractal as well. Watch this, right? Before I get there, the 4-day chart, right? We were talking about theta. We had a 9 buy, right? The 9 sell called the exact top for theta. The 9 buy called hopefully the bottom for theta as well. And we also had a 4-day 9 buy in Bitcoin and XRP, right? And this is the video, this is the thumbnail that I put out. Again, also talking about Bitcoin versus gold, or actually the gold fractal, right? You know, and basically we need, in order for XRP to explode, break out to new all-time high, we need a Bitcoin 5th wave, and we need the lawsuit over with, right? We also need the Russell to expand, which it got a good pump, right? It's kind of funny, the Russell pumped yesterday, and all of a sudden XRP's pumping now. It's kind of interesting. But essentially, we had a 3-way pullback right here for gold. You can see what happened. And then all of a sudden, bam, we exploded into our 5th wave. So that's what we want to see here with Bitcoin. And if we can get that with Bitcoin, it's going to be really good for XRP and all of the market. Hashtag alt season. So here's Bitcoin a while ago. This was the 3-day chart. This was actually on July 9th. So anyway, why was I explaining all of that? Because I'm kind of showing you the lead-in of what's happening now. So here we are. This is the screenshot of the 3-day chart, right? We also had a 9. I don't have it on the screen, but there's the impulse. And when we compare it to what happened back here, there's the liquidity grab, and we put them side by side. This is where the magic happens, right? So you can see we had this down move, we had a down move, we sort of bottomed out here, we bottomed out. Now remember, everything is 3 times bigger, right? So this is the 3-day chart, this is the 1-day chart, right? So everything is bigger, so it's more expanded. So just for you to understand, for example, this bottom here actually took a lot longer for it to bottom out. But essentially, right, we actually built a base here, and then we built a second base on top of that base. And there's actually a really good Bitcoin fractal I can show you about that as well. But, you know, when we look at it side by side, I mean, what else is there to say, right? We have this basically Wyckoff. It's like an M. So boom, boom, M, and then it takes off, right? So with, you know, with XRP on the current time frame, you can actually argue it's more like a W here. So you can see this here, right? It's more of like a W and then a slant, a W and then a slant, right? So essentially, you know, that's what we got, right? And we got that liquidity grab. This was the most pivotal point in XRP's life, right? So XRP has been trading how many years? Since 2015 or so, right? This is the most important day in XRP's life. Why? Because this basically says, you know, or semi confirms that number one, potentially the bottom's in, and then number two, right, we have a liquidity grab. And basically, you know, they took the price down in here. They got everybody bearish. They got everybody selling, just like they did the last time, right, before they shot it straight to the moon. So my thing is, right, are they going to do the same thing? Well, again, Brad Garlinghouse thinks there's going to be a $5 trillion market cap by the end of the year. That's his prediction. How that means the market has to go up another $3 trillion just about. So where does that money come from, right? Does he know something we don't? Obviously, he knows about the lawsuit. He knows what's going to happen there. So we also have, right, the Ethereum ETF getting ready to launch soon, maybe within the next few weeks. Reports are saying, right? On the Paul Barron network, he said probably within 10 days. And that was like 3 or 4 days ago. So we'll see how that develops. But basically what that does is, you can say, well, that's Ethereum, but that opens the door for an XRP ETF as well, right? And it, you know, if you have the Ethereum ETF launching the same time the lawsuit is comes in for a summary judgment, that's gonna really explode crypto in general, but a lot of XRP. And then it opens the door for an XRP ETF, which is going to increase momentum. And all of this is coming where? From the liquidity grab, right? The lawsuit could have ended here. It could have ended here, right? but it actually is going to end hopefully this summer, right? And that's the thing, we don't know for sure, right? This thing can go to trial, right? For all we know, there is no judgment, and we go to trial and we get screwed, right? This could be just a pump before we go down. That could totally be the case. This is not, again, it's not financial advice. All I have is the data that's in front of me, and all we can do is speculate on that. And at the end of the day, for me, if the lawsuit wraps up, we're going to see something huge. If it doesn't, and let's say they appeal it, or there's no judgment, and then we go to trial, it's going to take another year or so. But that doesn't mean we can't see an alt season. Remember, XRP still went from the 30-cent range all the way up to $2, even with a lawsuit, right? Back in the retrace of the 2021 the bull run. So if we have another alt season, if Bitcoin goes up into a fifth wave, and then we go into distribution for Bitcoin, then the rotations occur out of Bitcoin into alts. That's when you get your alt season, right? So I think XRP is going to be a big role in that. It'll be a lot bigger if that lawsuit is finished. So I want to look a little bit closer here. Let me zoom in just right about there. And essentially, right, this was sort of this three-wave move, right? And you can argue this is also three. But the fact that this sort of spring phase is happening right here is very interesting. And the fact that we came right back up and reclaimed our support, that is the most important thing of today that I can possibly say is, the same thing, how XRP reclaimed it, right? It came down here, it reclaimed it, right? So we're probably eventually going to have to come all the way back down and retest. You can see support, right? Support, or actually resistance. It came back up, and now it's got to come back down. Maybe it won't. I don't know. We'll see. I'm going to jump into the small time frames and give you my thoughts. But essentially, this is a wave one, and that's a big wave one. And if wave one is looking like that, look at this wave one right here. Now look at this wave one, right? And then look at the wave three, and then look at the wave five, right? Wave five was big because wave three was small. Normally, wave three is big. So wave three can get us literally at $1.10, right? We'll see. But again, I'm going to jump back into that. But what I basically wanted to explain is this is the most important thing that could have ever happened to XRP is what? Is to reclaim the support. Now, it's not over yet, right? It's not over yet. We still, right, the hard work is still yet to come, because we still have to come down and confirm this is the support. If we come down and just drizzle out, then that was going to be a big sort of trap, right? A bear or a bull trap. Now, that's why, since I'm a bull, I'm not going to get trapped, even though if it is a trap. Why? Because I'm not going to buy right here. I'm going to let it roll, right? I already bought down here, so I have a plenty of wiggle room if, my stop loss is down here, right? And, this is a huge engulfing candle. So usually when you get that, right, if that's what you have. So that's either going to be a 5-wave impulse, right, or a 3-wave move. But either way, you're going to have more upside to go. You're going to have more upside to go, because this first leg always has more to go, right? So if this is the first leg, it's either going to turn into a 3-wave move, or it's going to turn into a 5-wave move, right? So still, I'm expecting higher prices. I'm expecting at least about 65 cents, right? Not today, not tomorrow, right? That's not what that means. But eventually, when we have this, this continuation. So let's continue to move on. So now I want to jump into what we saw here in sequential. So I'm going to turn the sequential on, and you can see we actually made it to a 4-day 9 buy. I think that's what it was. Boom, there it is right there. So, I was talking about this a lot, right? All throughout, the week. So if you caught that move, give yourself a pat on the back, right? Because we had everything going for it, right? Let me actually remove this because we don't need it anymore. We already talked about the liquidity grab. You can see right here, right? We had a 4-day 9 buy, and that 4-day 9 buy led to this rally, which then landed us on a 9 sell. This 9 buy called the bottom, not exact, but it did. The 9 sell called the exact top. And then we came down here, right? So this 9 buy worked out, this 9 sell worked out. Then we had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You had 5 waves down and you had another 9 buy. If that didn't tell you to go long, I have no idea what will, right? So this 8 candle was a huge sort of wick here. And what did I say? I basically said normally after that happens, right? So we have this candle. This candle is going to come down and retrace 50% of this wick, in which it did flawlessly. So then the 9 buy candle, right, on the 4-day chart closed, and then bam, we got this huge one. We have a green one going above the 9. This is the most bullish thing you can possibly imagine, right? That doesn't mean it's going to keep going, right? It's already pulling back pretty heavily, right? It was up here at 56 cents. Now it's back down to 53. So it probably won't sustain, right? Now, before I get into small time frames, I want to show you the big time frame, basically the count here on the bigger time frames. So, and basically you already know Bitcoin, right? What Bitcoin did. And basically I've been comparing it to what Bitcoin is now. So basically we're sort of right here with XRP. That's where we're at, right? And you say, well, what do you mean? Well, Bitcoin is doing this, did the same thing back in 2019. It had a rise, crash, retrace, reaccumulation, then it went sideways. It had the liquidity grab, right? It makes you wonder what C19 was really about. That plus many other agendas, but and then we exploded to the upside. So rise, crash, retrace, reaccumulation, sideways, liquidity grab, blast off. Same thing what's happening with XRP. Take a look. So when we look at XRP, right, the big difference is so much bigger, right? We have a rise, crash, retrace, reaccumulation, sideways, right? Here's your liquidity grab. Now, it could be a big liquidity grab. It could actually, maybe it's not even finished, and we'll talk about those ideas as well. But essentially, a liquidity grab can actually come down maybe even to 17 cents, right? A lot of people think 17 cents. I'm sort of reluctant about that. I mean, I'm sure it's very possible, but we're going to need more evidence, of course. But essentially, yeah, that's reaccumulation. We got the liquidity grab, the same thing as Bitcoin. And then what did Bitcoin do after that? Right, it had its retracement. It sort of flagged out. It kind of went sideways. It dipped down in liquidity. It bounced up, and then it just went insane. Right. So what the count is from an LEA perspective is basically we're in some type of wave 2, right? So if this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, right? That's wave 1. And then this is an ABC, that's wave 2. So we're still going to go up in wave 3, right? And then another way you can count it, right, is that this is wave 1, 2, 3, 4, and then we go up into wave 5, right? So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And basically this was already wave 3, and now we're going to hit wave 5. So regardless of that, we still need another wave to the upside, right? I mean, because when you look at Dogecoin, right, what did Dogecoin do? It had 5 waves. So where's XRP now? XRP on the Dogecoin chart is right about there. So it still needs this big wave, right? Because look at Dogecoin. What do you see? You see 5 waves. You got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So why would I buy Dogecoin when you already have 5 waves, right? And Dogecoin is now probably in a rise, crash, retrace. Most of the coins, I would say a lot of the coins are going into a retracement, right? They're going into retracement, then they have to go back into reaccumulation, then they have to go sideways, then they can break out. But if XRP is already at the reaccumulation phase, why would I own Dogecoin, right? So again, you got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we're right here in wave 4, right? So I'll go back to XRP, and we have something missing, right? We only have 3 waves or 4 waves, right? So 1, 2, 3. Here's wave 4, but where's wave 5? I don't see it. Do you see it? Eventually, we're gonna get wave 5, just like what Dogecoin did, right? And Dogecoin's wave 5 was the biggest wave 5 in the planet, in the history of Dogecoin. It was huge. I'm not saying Dogecoin's going to be, or XRP is going to be the same, right? Basically, Dogecoin, let's see what the retracement was on it. So Dogecoin hit, if I take a Fibonacci retracement and I go down, where did it hit? It hit the 2.272. Wow, that's insane, right? This is on log scale too, right? So the 2.272, right? So that's where Dogecoin 5th wave hit. Now let's look at XRP. Now I know XRP is not going to hit that 2.23, right? So if we look at it, and I put the retracement on from the bottom, or from the top to the bottom, where's the 2.272? Whoa, that's at $260, guys. $260. That means the market cap of XRP would have to be like trillions and trillions of dollars, which is probably not going to happen, right? It's just, it would have to be like the Federal Reserve coming out and announcing we're going to use XRP, right? And every bank, right? That's the only way it would work if we get that high. So it hit the 2.272, Dogecoin did. But Dogecoin was able to do it because it had a lower market cap, right? It was reasonable. That's why you want to get in early with a small market cap. I'm looking at CRV as a low market cap gem, and also Casper, in case you were wondering what 2 coins I'm holding for low, right, for that big swing to the upside on that first wave, right? Because if you have a low market cap, you have much more potential, right? XRP is already billions of dollars, so it's going to be harder to move. So it hit the 2.272, and it also hit the 2, right? So if it can, at least, if Dogecoin hit the 2.272, then it can at least hit the 1.272, right? Between $8 and $13, going as high as $27, right? I think as far as target goes, you already know my targets, right? I'm going to remove that here, and I'm going to show you on linear scale what my targets are, right? And now these targets can change. It all depends what Bitcoin is doing when we get to that target, what XRP looks like. Does it have 3 waves? Does it have 5 waves? Is it on a 9 cell? Is the MACD rolling over, right? There's a lot of things that I'm going to be looking for. But essentially, the first target here, let me make sure it's right there, right there. That's good enough. Would be right here, the 1618 and the 1.702, right at $5.30. So between $5 and $6 really would be the first target. Obviously, you have a little bit lower targets down here at 420 and 467. Those can be noteworthy as well. And then you sort of jump up here to the $7 to $8 range up in here, right? And then you basically, from there, you jump up from the $10 to $13 range. So, it's, how there's a lot of ways you can play it, right? You can sell, maybe 10%, 20%, 40%, right? And then you just, keep going up, or 10%, 15%, 20%, 30%, right? And then maybe 50%. I don't know. There's a lot of ways, and we're going to jump into all those things as well when we officially break out. But you know, when XRP pumps, it's pretty rare. So when it pumps, I like to take advantage of speaking highly of XRP and showing the potential of these targets. And I do believe they will be hit at some point, and maybe even beyond that, right? Another analysis you can do is simply, right, looking at this from a triangle perspective, right? Actually, let me do an actual triangle here. So I'll put this line right there. I like to connect as many as I can, right? So actually, let me show you on the 2-week chart here. So if you look at the 2-week chart, what's interesting about it is, actually, I have to do it on another. What's interesting about it, right, is when you look at back what happened the last time, what did we have, guys? I've showed this before, we had an A, B, C, D, and E, right? So we know that. And what happened in wave E? We actually had a massive liquidity grab. The same thing, right? We're basically have this trend line here, and look at that. We had a big fake out to the downside, and that fake out led to a massive a pump. I mean, huge pump. So when we look at what's happening today, oh my God, look at what is happening now. It's the same thing. There's the wick right there. The same thing, right? Right. So let me just do it like this, and I can put right here A, B, C, D, and then E, right? So obviously same thing, A, B, C, D, E. So we already know that, right? So I'll remove those, and we can see also what's happening right here, right? Same thing what's happening here. We had that liquidity grab. So it's just another way of showing, right, some confluence in that liquidity move. So let me remove this, and you can see it, right? And by the way, this is the most bullish 2-week candle I've seen in as far as a reversal candle, right? Not an impulse candle, not a big breakout candle, but sort of as that reverse, that bullish hammer candle, right? You see the wick at the bottom. It's huge. This wick is a monster from here all the way up to the base. That's a 23% wick right there, right? So that's a 23% bullish hammer candle, right? And now it's, you can see what it's doing here. So this could be just coming up, right, to retest these highs before we get another move to the downside. Unfortunately, that could be the case, right? And I'm going to jump into all that as well. So man, we're already at 53 minutes here, so I got to get moving. But essentially, right, even if you wanted to do a target here from here, right, you take it from there, that'll give you about $10. I mean, that's exactly what I would think as well. This target actually exceeded that, so we'll see how that plays. But so now let's jump into some basic things, right? I mean, back over here, this is your basic sort of area here. This is sort of that concrete, foundation right here. Or I keep saying concrete. Your steel reinforcement, right? So you can see basically from the top here to the bottom, and this is sort of that. This is sort of your, that very strong support area, right? This is a lot of confluence in this area. You can see, resistance. We get up here, support, and now we basically just need to stay above this yellow box here. And you can see we actually dipped back into it, and then we exploded back out of it. So now let's jump into the small time frames. Kind of losing time here, but what could this be on the small time frame? So let me jump to the daily first. Yeah, the RSI is getting oversold. So the daily chart, actually, you know, I was looking at this, right? We've broken above the downward resistance line. We also have this falling wedge here, right? We broke above that falling wedge. The measured move is approximately about 73 cents. So that's sort of where I'm targeting, right? But now I want to explain how you think it's going to get there. By the way, hit that like button to help out with the algorithms. I'd really, really appreciate it. Especially now, I mean, since we've gotten it pretty good. We've been pretty spot on as far as this liquidity grab, as far as the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 wave move, right? And then we were also looking at what? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we had 5 waves in wave 5, right? And you know, it's actually been quite well, to be honest. So what could this be doing here? Well, there's a few options. Obviously, the bullish idea we already discussed, which is what? Which is basically I'm going to do the bullish and then the bearish. So the bullish idea is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. A. We have a complex B. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we have a 1, 2. Right, we got that. So basically what we see here is a finished correction. Right, let me just put the annotations on. So we have an A, we have a B, and we have a C, right? And now what we see happening here, guys, is that move is finished, and now this is an impulse. This is a big impulse. This is not some small impulse. And by the way, you know, the problem is that the rest of the market isn't participating. XRP is kind of doing it on its own, which is kind of interesting. And XLM as well. XLM had an even bigger breakout, and I was actually talking about XLM a lot to a friend of mine, basically, you know, looking at things, and I actually even tweeted it out. But essentially, I really wanted it, I just couldn't get it. But basically, this is a 1, and now we're going to come down for 2. We're going to impulse up for 3, 4, and then we're going to get 5. So we're going to get, you know, a strong impulse like that. So that would be the idea, right? And this could be a lot bigger than the way I've drawn it, right? I mean, it could be a lot bigger. So we don't really know yet, right, how this is going to shape up. But essentially something like that. And basically the targets for that, right, if I take a trend-based fib extension and I take it from the top of this wave, right, or from the bottom of that wave to the top of this wave, and then I'm going to pull it all the way down, right? And then we're looking at least the 1-to-1 extension, which comes in at $1.21, right? So that would be our first target. And actually, let me put a few bit more on here. So we have the 702, we have the 1618, and I think that should be good. Okay. So you can see, right, that 1618 at $2.46, right? So that's kind of like a trend-based fib extension. That's one way you can do it. Another way you can do it is simply take from the high of here all the way down to the bottom and say, okay, we're heading up to at least $1.30. Right? So between $1.10 and $1.30 is going to be the biggest area for XRP to get through. If we can get through $1.10 and $1.30, I think $1.60 and beyond will be a lot easier. It will be easier. There's a lot of resistance here at $1.10, right? But essentially, we have to get through. You know, if this is the real deal, we don't know if it's the real deal, but it seems like it is, right? Everything's lining up perfectly. It seems like it's the real deal. So if it's the real deal, we need to get through this zone, right? Between essentially $1.10 and, you know, $1.60, right? So let me remove that, and then let me remove that, right? And, you know, one more little target here would be $1.82. $1.63 to $1.82. 4.236 comes in at a 271. So that's what we got there. And this one here, I didn't show you on the log scale, I think. Let me see, what was that on log scale? Let me put that right there. And I'll go to settings and I'll take it off log scale. Okay, so that's a little bit better. So actually the 1-to-1 extension comes in at $1.02. So that would be the target, right? Is $1.02, which is the 1-to-1 extension of this move. So at the very least, that's where I'm thinking we're going. Why? Because if this is an A, B, C, then we should get to $1.02. But if this is a 1, 2, 3, we should get to $1.42 and even higher, right? 4 and then 5. See what I mean? So, you know, at the very least, I think we're heading up to $1. We will get to $1, right? I think I'm pretty confident in that. We will get to $1 sometime this year. Okay. So that's it for targets. Let me remove this now. And let's jump into sort of, I guess that's about it, right? So another thing as well, as far as the triangle goes, I forgot to mention, right? If this is a triangle, right? A, B, C, D, E. Then we have a finished triangle. Why? Well, the reason why is because every wave needs 3 waves, right? So just like the last time, we have all 3. 1, 2, 3, right? 1, 2, 3. And then we have 1, 2, 3. And this is 1, 2, 3. And now look what we just got, guys. Look what we just got. 1, 2, 3. So I mean, that's it right there. And then look, and then we got the reaction off of that third wave, which is amazing to me. It's like it worked out like a textbook status, like perfect. Like you couldn't ask for anything better. Now this is gonna pull back a lot, right? So when it pulls back, everyone's gonna come out and say, "See, I told you it was just a pump and dump, blah 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 blah," right? Obviously, it's got to pull back. And now let's jump into the small time frames, what everybody's wondering here. So let's jump to the 4-hour. Actually, let's jump to a little bit higher. Let's go to the 12-hour. So right off the bat, you know, we had this move down 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We got that, right? And then we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We got that too. So now let's look at what's happening now. So this is the fun part here. So what happens now is very hard to know because, you know, we came up here and basically here's our resistance. This is a major resistance line and we're basically stuck right in there. So we have to break out of that line, but I don't know if we're going to break it on the first try. It looks like XRP is losing some momentum right now. Let's zoom into the 20-minute chart. You can see it came up to about $1 or 56 cents. $1, I said. Yeah, you wish. $1. And then, you know, we pulled back to about 53 cents, right? So we're going to jump into the small time frame or the small time frame. But first, a couple ideas here on the 4-hour chart, right? So, you know, this is all of a sudden, so there's a lot of different fractals I wanted to show you as far as wave structures and how it looks. But, you know, unfortunately on time, we don't have enough time for that. So I'm going to give you a few ideas here. So first of all, what we have is a 3-wave move. We only have a 3-wave move, guys. So I would imagine, this is my prediction, or I don't like saying prediction, but this is my thinking here. This is wave 1, this is wave 2, all of this is wave 3. Now, I don't know if wave 3 is done yet. That's the hard part, right? We don't know if it's done yet. It doesn't look like it's done to me. It doesn't look like it's done, right? Because if this is wave, let me do this. If this is wave 1 of 3, right? This is 2 of 3. This is 3 of 3. Now we're going to get 4 of 3 and then 5 of 3. So this whole thing will become wave 1, wave 2, wave 3, and then we get a big wave 4 like this, right? Something like that, and then we go up for wave 5. Maybe we spike the high. So that's kind of what we want to see. We want to see a 5-wave move, and this is actually the most important part of the video, right? Because this is really explaining what could potentially happen over the next several weeks. Now, it all is going to rest on Bitcoin. I understand that, right? And speaking of Bitcoin, I'm going to just look at it real fast and see what we got here. So in regards to Bitcoin, it's not looking good, guys. It just seems like, right, I talked about the diagonal. This could be a diagonal 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then this is an A, B, C. That's what I hope. This is XRP's best hope, is for this to come down. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's a diagonal like that. And then we have a 3-way pullback. It's a leading diagonal. So it's leading, right? And then we get the big third wave to the upside. So this would be wave 1, wave 2, and then we get to wave 3. And I think that would be my main idea, right? If that is not a leading diagonal, then that's an ABC, and we're going to at least come back down and probably revisit the lows here, right? And then sort of maybe build a base and then go up. That's another idea. Another idea is to say that this wave isn't done, meaning that this is 1, 2, 3, 4, and then 5. But look at the size of wave 2, compare that to wave 4. It's way too big, which makes me think it's, you know, it's not in the same degree. So either with Bitcoin, right, the whole thing with Bitcoin is A, B, C, right? So if you've been following my channel, you know exactly what we're talking about here with Bitcoin. So in order for XRP to work out, we need, right, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, A, B, C. So that's 1, that's 2. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's 3, that's 4, right? The same degree in wave 2 is the same degree in wave 4, right? So this was a rise, crash, retrace, reaccumulation, sideways breakout. This is an ABC structure where we took out the liquidity of wave A. So now what we want to see is this finished. It may or may not be finished, this C leg here, and then we want to see an impulse, kind of drag out a little bit, and then continue to get that 5th wave. 1, 2, 3, 4, and then get wave 5, just like what gold did, right? So now we got all that. Let me go into the small time frames. I got to move fast here as far as time purposes go. But essentially, what we have for Bitcoin here, right? This could also be a descending triangle. You know, but you know, it also, one last bearish thing I would say is, obviously, if this is A, B, C, then we need 5 waves in wave A. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We got 5 waves in wave C. That's exactly what we wanted, right? And we got 5 in A, 3 in B, 5 in C. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now, there is a chance that this could be 1, 2, all of this is wave 3, then we get a wave 4, then we get a wave 5. And then we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 in wave 3. So we have 5 waves in wave 3, which is a must. Then you have 4, then you have 5, then you go to the moon, right? So that's what we don't know, right? Is this the 4th wave or is this the 4th wave, right? You can see the difference in time. The 4th wave was a lot smaller than this wave 2, which makes me think that maybe this is the 4th wave, and then we get wave 5. And all of this was wave 3. Regardless of the fact, we need to bottom out here, right? So that's why I'm hoping this is a diagonal with a 3-way pullback. If it's not, and we come down and we flush the low, and we get divergence on the micro account, we also have bullish divergence on the daily. This thing is primed for bullish action. We just have to wait and see how this bottom gets hashed out in here. If we have another low, then we know, right? So let me get back to XRP. So, you know, considering everything I just said, because I had to talk about that, if all that goes well, then what do we have, guys? What do we have? We have the makings of one of the potential greatest bull runs in history for XRP, right? You know, when you add the lawsuit, when you add, you know, the regulation, the ETF, the election year, right? The stock market, everything compiling into this sort of climactic event where we can see a big rally. Maybe it might be short-lived. We don't know. Maybe it might take another year, right? But let's get back into it. So right off the bat, you know, we want to see 5 waves, and so far we only have 3, which is good, right? This is way too big, in my opinion, to be a C leg. So let me take an extension here, trend-based fib extension, and I'm going to go from here to the top to the bottom, and we hit exactly the 2.272. So that's a little bit too big to be a C leg, right? A C leg usually hits 1618, so it's a little bit too big. Or really it hits a 1-to-1 extension, right? A 3-wave move. But this thing went a lot higher. So in my opinion, this is wave 1, this is wave 2, and now this is 1, 2, right? This could be you know, it's a little bit tricky because, let me zoom in here. So I'm trying to look at the length of wave 1 of 3, and you can see it wasn't that long, right? So then we came up, let me see, 1. So there's a few ideas here. And it looks like it's dumping pretty good now. So I'm imagining it's done, right? At least the 3rd wave. 1, 2, right? 1, 2. This could be 3, 4, and 5, and then we get 4 and 5, right? So either way you look at it, we need a 5th wave, right? So regardless of the fact, we need a 5th wave, right? So let me actually go to the 4-hour, and now I want to show you the bearish idea, right? So let me put this on here like that. So we came right up here, right smack in the middle. So this is very strong resistance. This is a very dangerous area here, right? This is where XRP got rejected over and over and over again. And since it, you know, it got rejected from coming from here to here, but now it came from way down here all the way up here. So that was a big move. So it's getting exhausted, right? So, you know, that's where all the resistance is. So what we want to see now is a 4th wave in here. We want to see a long consolidation. So how's that going to look? Well, it can look a few different ways. For example, we can flag out in here, right? Something like this, A, B, C, and then we come up, hit the high, and then get like a bigger A, B, C like this, right? So then what we have is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we have wave 1, and then we get wave 2. That would be the entry. And then a monster wave 3, huge wave 3, right? So we're still working on wave 1, guys. So if you want to get XRP, wait for a wave 2 pullback, and you need to subscribe to my channel so you'll know when that wave 2 pullback is. So tilt your phone to the side. Do it right now. Tilt your phone to the side and hit subscribe. And then also, you know, hit the like button. That also really helps out. Hit subscribe, because you're going to want to know when this wave 2 comes in. I'm telling you. And even if you don't hear it from me, you're going to want to hear it from other people, right? So we all have difference of opinions, but that's essentially what we're looking at here. So another idea that this could be, guys, the bearish idea, is actually really not good. Right? So what we have here is a very, very bearish thing here, right? According to the bearish idea, which is what, right? We had a 3-wave pullback, and then we had a wave 1. This is a wave 2, right? And this is another wave 1, and this is another wave 2. And now we're going to die, right? So if I flip it upside down, that's kind of what it looks like, right? Actually, let me actually go to the higher time frame so you can see it a little bit better. So, right, you have this impulse to the downside. You have a 3-way pullback, right? And you know, when we turn back that upside down, we have a 1, 2, This could, and then we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we're getting a three-way pullback, right? And then we're going to come down in 5 again. So then this comes, basically it becomes a much more complex correction. It's either going to be a correction or a reversal, right? And the thing is like, well, how do we know? Well, we don't have to know right now. We'll know based on how this looks. Does this move up, correctively? Right now it's moving very impulsively. But if it kind of trails down here and then it kind of hits the high and then it gets rejected, it might look like a three-wave shape, right? So if we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 with a three-way pullback, then we're going to get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So what we have is actually a complex move. So basically this move is the same as this move, right? So basically what we have would be an A, B, C, right? But it would actually be an A, B, C, a bigger move, right? So we have 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, and then 1, 2, 3, or 5. So basically what I'm saying is it can turn into a bigger correction. So instead of this being 3, what you're going to get is 3 and then 3. So a bigger ABC. So what you have is you have a 5-wave move and a big 3-way pullback, which then leads to a monster wave, right? But I don't know if that's going to be the case. So that's basically the bearish idea number 1. Bearish idea number 2 is basically saying, this is coming up to retest as resistance, and we're going to keep falling back to the downside, right? And when we zoom all the way out, what we have is potentially a 3-wave move like this. Boom, 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 right? So we have 3, 3, 3. So W, X, Y. It's a flat structure. And we're going to land here somewhere around 17 cents and then blast off. So that could still be the case, guys. Unfortunately, if we have some kind of black swan event, it's an election year, if we have a stock market meltdown, a financial crisis, a cyber attack, whatever the case may be, some type of black swan event to really kick the price down. Maybe the Ripple loses the lawsuit in a stunning turn of events, right? And then maybe 3 months later they say, nah, just kidding, we actually won. or maybe they go to, they appeal it and they go to a higher court and then they get approved, or you don't know. Anything could happen in this game. That's why I just say hodl, 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 hodl. So, another very bearish idea, right? Obviously it would be that move there. So basically that's about it. Now this happened really, really fast, right? This candle went up very fast. Now, I would have liked to seen it build a base down in here, right? Because you don't really have a lot of support here, right? So I would have liked to seen some kind of base get filled, maybe a 1, 2, 1, 2, and then explode to the upside, right? So, when we look at it from a daily perspective, it went up a little bit too fast, and what goes up fast comes down fast. I mean, this is a pretty big candle here, right? So, at the very least, I want to see some kind of flagging out. If this thing starts to flag out like this, right, that's going to be very bullish. And this is my prediction. This is what I think is going to happen. I think we're going to get up here, and then we're going to flag out. We're going to go sideways for a while. And then people are going to forget about XRP, right? They're like, oh, okay, it went up to 56 cents. It's going sideways. It's not doing anything. Right? And then August rolls around, and then all of a sudden, boom, they win the lawsuit. Bam, it goes straight up. So this is the grand finale right here. This is what I believe, the most bullish, and there's a lot of things that have to go right. I could be totally dead wrong, by the way. I could be totally dead wrong. But what I believe here is that what's going to happen is we had this finish 1, 2. That's our finish wave. And we exploded up in wave 1 of 3, right? So we need 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, right, to be 1 of 3. And then, right, basically this is wave 1. So basically we're going to go and flag out here. That's what I'm thinking. So once we flag out, what is it going to do? It's going to create a inverse head and shoulders, guys. That's what we want. This is the best thing that could happen. So an inverse head and shoulders here. So we're going to flag out and then explode to the upside. That's basically what I'm thinking here. Some kind of ABC pattern. Okay, so that's it. Now what I want to show you is another sort of grand finale, which is basically the what happened back over here. I'm going to take this fractal. I know everybody likes to do that, so why not me too? I'm going to take this fractal from about right here, and I'm going to pause the video and basically take this and put it right where we are now. So if you can see from a time perspective, we're exactly right on time. I actually cut it a little bit too much here, and we're gonna look at it from the Binance chart because I think it's a little bit cleaner of a fractal here. Okay, yeah, that's a lot better. So this is another sort of grand finale right here. So when we look at this, this is also the Wyckoff accumulation, the spring, right? You guys already know Wyckoff, right? So when I take this up here, you can kind of see, and that's, again, this is the same thing what happened last time. So essentially, right, we come up, we come back down. We come up, we come back down, right? And then we come back up to the resistance, right? We make a three-wave move, 1, 2, 3, back up to the resistance, and then we come all the way down in this grueling spring phase. And by the way, this is where everybody gave up. This is where everybody said XRP is nothing and blah, 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 right? This is where everybody went short. And then we came down to the spring phase. It happens every time, right? We came down to the spring phase, and I talked about this for a long time. I said, get ready. This is it, you know? And when we take that same thing that happened before and we overlay it, we can see the spring, right? And we came down, we took out this low and this low. We took out all this low, we grabbed the liquidity, and then we had a sharp move back to the upside. But look, it's not a straight line up. We went 1, 2, 1, 2. So, you know, that's what we got there, right? So now you know, looking at it from that perspective, what we want to see, right, is for it to play around, get back up here, and then basically do this, and then go, right? Something like that. So that's what we got here. Now I'm going to show you this right here. I'm going to show you the actual fractal. And okay, so I fitted it perfectly here. And you can see, look, you can see this bar here exactly lined up with this bar. So then what happened after that bar? Right? We had 1, 2, 3. We had an ABC pullback, then we shot up, then we consolidated, then we continued higher. Wow, this is exciting. So expect a big pullback, right? Don't FOMO. People are going to be like, it's probably going to drop back down to 40. It's probably going to drop back down to 51, maybe even 50 cents. And everyone's going to laugh and say, it didn't do anything, right? But it's pulling back. It needs to do that, right? And I'm letting you know in advance that it's needed. Now, we don't want to get too fast too quickly, right? Not yet, because this is the first wave. So then what happened? So then we pulled back in the fractal. We had 1, 2, 3, 4, and then we went up into wave 5, which was a huge extended wave here. So this thing can actually get us back up to, you know, maybe $2 or $3 within a month or two. And I just think that's a little bit too much, right? I'm not comfortable with saying that right this second. I want to see a bottom. Remember, I want to see a bottom get hashed out in here. We still have Bitcoin, right? We still have the problems over there in a lot of these altcoins. I didn't even look at a lot of these coins. By the way, let's look at THETA just to give it to some respect here, right? Because you got to respect THETA. It is one of the most interesting. Also, we have this sort of diagonal type of shape, but you know, it sort of looks corrective. It looks like it needs to come down and then come back up, or at least oscillate, build a range, and then break out. So there's still a lot of correction coming in, unless, of course, it just breaks out and does what XRP did. It's more unlikely. Again, it's all about probabilities. right? So let's go back to XRP. I'm gonna do an XRP or a Theta video later this week, maybe Monday or Tuesday, right? You know, but right now the action is in XRP, so that's where my attention is. So yeah, all in all, I think this thing is coming up at some strong resistance here, right? And if it, I actually don't really want it to break it, because if it breaks it and it gets a strong rejection, then it's going to look like a liquidity grab from a seller's perspective. So I kind of want it to come up here, and then I kind of want it to bull flag, right? Let's create a bull flag here and then shoot up, something like that, right? And then what we have is like a shoulder, a head, and another shoulder. And then what is the measured move of that inverse head and shoulders? If I take a, you know, I'm going to do it liberally from here to here, right? And then I'm going to take it from there. That takes us back above 76 cents. That takes us back above these two highs here, which is important, right? Because there's a lot of liquidity resting above here. And all of this moves is corrective. Remember, the whole market has been in a bear market. XRP has been in a corrective structure, right? 3 down, 3 up, 3 down, right? So you can see it's moving in threes all the time. 1, 2, 3, right? 1, 2, 3. And then we just had 1, 2, 3. So what's going to happen next? Another 1, 2, 3. We should come back up, right? This should be 1, 2, 3 back up to here. At least, right? So this could be even a WXY, a big one, WXY, and then go, right? It can even be something like that, something even more complex. But again, I'm not gonna jump into all of those. But what I'm gonna wrap this up here. But I want to show you a couple of charts. Obviously, we looked at the liquidity grab, those fractals there, right? And then here's QNT, looking at a 5-way move, 3-way pullback. By the way, Tone Vays tweeted this out. XRP was at the top market cap position, right? So it says right here, it's official. Bitcoin is no longer #1 crypto. That honor is now held by Ripple XRP. That's crazy. Back in the day, this was the top 10, right? We had XLM, GNO, LTC, XEM, Dash, Ethereum Classic, Monero, all these weird coins that we don't even know. And guess what? Who's the only one there now? It's Bitcoin, Ethereum, and XRP. Those are the only 3 that are still in the top 10. But yeah, yesterday, I thought we were probably going to pull back, but that's what I was thinking. We need some kind of fourth wave here. Obviously, we had a big breakout, right? I tweeted, or I didn't tweet it. I showed it someone in a Discord that I'm in. We broke above the RSI structure. I didn't even get into all the oscillators and lucid stars, MACDs, and things like that. There's just not enough time. But yeah, here's the 9 buy right there, and we called it right on the day it happened, and that reversal 8, right, and powerful. So this is the chart I want to show. Shout out to Bill Boo Woo. He's on Twitter. So go give him a subscribe. He puts out charts all the time. But basically, he's been following this fractal. And basically, what happened here the last time, we came down here and we had a markup phase. And, we can see it happening here as well, right? So we had a nice, you can see the similarities, basically comparing it from now to then. And I think this was XRP. Yeah. And then he also does XRP versus Bitcoin. So here's a chart I want to show you. So on the bottom, we have XRP versus Bitcoin. Same guy, at Crypto Bill Boo, right? Forgive me if I butchered your name. Crypto Bill Boo Woo. And you can see, you just pause the video and look at this. You can see all the similarities, the orange, the blue, the red. He color-coded it so that we can see it, right? You can see the spring here, the spring there, right? And then when we look at this, we can see this as well. We can see beautiful structure in here. Same type of structure back over here. You can see it. So, and then also I really like this chart because he did a really good job illustrating the market cap, the Bitcoin dominance chart. And then you also have XRP, right? You can see Right over here, you had a 1-2, you had that triangle, and then you had that fake drop. Remember we talked about the liquidity grab. Same thing here. We had that fake drop, and guess what? As soon as you had that fake drop, it was only down there for a little while, right? And nobody's like, it's gonna come down. Like people got complacent, and I've been saying that word complacent for a long time, and people are looking at XRP go up, and now they missed it, right? They missed that move. Now, a lot of people are going to FOMO. I wouldn't. What I would do is I would wait. I would actually wait until we have that wave 2 pullback, what we talked about, right? So then you move on down to Bitcoin dominance. You can kind of see his thoughts there, right? And then, by the way, look where XRP exploded when the altcoin market cap. You can see the cup right here, and you can see the back test in the green. That's where the altcoin was. Well, guess what? This is where the altcoin is now. It's in the same spot, and that does what? It shows a lot of confluence. This is why it's exciting, right? Nobody deserves it more than the XRP community, right? So, okay, let's not forget here, right? Brad Garlinghouse is hanging out with the chief executive of Hong Kong Monetary Authority, Christine Lagarde, chairman of the Saudi Arabian Monetary Authority, director of IMF, the monetary markets. That's insane, right? And here's Brad Garlinghouse just chilling there talking about crypto. He's there. The World Bank also mentioned XRP in their documents, right? Saying how great it is, saying, the writing is on the wall, guys, that XRP is primed for a position to really make a big dent in the universe. And then you couple that with what Brad Garlinghouse has been talking about consistently, which is,
according to CNBC, Ripple CEO predicts crypto market will double in size to $5 trillion by the end of 2024. Ripple CEO Brad Garlinghouse said he expects the entire value of the crypto market to double this year, citing the arrival of the first U.S. spot Bitcoin exchange-traded funds and upcoming so-called Bitcoin halving.
There you go, guys. I mean, you can't get any more clear than that, right? I mean, he talks about the halving, he talks about the ETFs, but that still doesn't equate to 5 trillion. Something else has to happen. And I think a big explosion in XRP is going to come following a big victory. But a lot of things have to go right. I can say that all day, but if you don't have anything to back it up, it means nothing, right? Talk is cheap. Let's see it in action, right? I can say whatever and it doesn't mean anything. We've been hearing it for years. Think about all the people online have been talking about XRP is going to go to the moon, go to the moon. And then year after year after year, month after day after day after day, month after month, it's been nothing, right? It's been pathetic. Right? So people get complacent. People say it's never going to happen. And that is why it psychologically designs that to happen, right? There's a lot of bullish people early on, which gives the impression the XRP is going to go up. They buy in, and then day after day, week after week, month after month, year after year, nothing happens. And then it goes down, and it stays at 50 cents, 60 cents, 50 cents, 60 cents, and then it goes to 40 cents, and then everyone flips out, right? Because it's just not doing anything. And again, people get complacent that it's never going to happen. And then all of a sudden it does when you least expect it, right? But that's why we follow charts. That's why we look at the TD sequential. That's why we look at Elliott wave. That's why we saw the 3-wave shape forming. That's why we look at the phases in the market: rise, crash, retrace, reaccumulation. We dissect the reaccumulation structure and look into it to see exactly what's happening. And you can see, this is exactly what's happening again, right? I mean, I can't, stress that enough of how beautiful this is actually shaping up to be, right? So when we look at this, this rise, crash, retrace, reaccumulation, sideways, blast off, rise, crash, reaccumulation, or rise, crash, retrace, reaccumulation, sideways, right? And we're in this liquidity grab. Right? But again, like I said, we need Bitcoin to have that fifth wave. We need the Russell to go into expansion. We need a dollar to continue selling off. We need interest rates to continue to hold, right? People think interest rates drop means crypto goes up, but the cutting cycle is actually bearish, right, for crypto in the beginning. So what we really want to see is for Bitcoin to get that fifth wave. If we get that fifth wave for Bitcoin, then it's going to be one remarkable sight, right? So I'm going to wrap this up by explaining one more thing here, which is the small time frame. You can see it's starting to dump now, and it's probably going to be a big dump. So I'm already letting you know, right? So it's probably going to be a big dump back down to support, right? But that's okay, right? That's what we want. It's probably going to come back in here. When you have a big wave like that comes out of the ordinary, and it's not going with the rest of the market, chances are it's going to dump. So if you have a 1-2, right, you take this whole wave here, the length of the wave, and then cut it in half. So that's probably where we're going. We're actually probably going to go back down to 47 cents. Maybe not today, but over time, we're probably going to flag out in here, right? Just want to let you know, we're going to probably flag out in here. And then once we hold support, depending what it looks like, it could be maybe a falling wedge or something. We don't know what it's going to look like. Maybe an ABC, right? Maybe it could be a complex ABC. But essentially, whatever it looks like is going to tell us what the next move is. And that's why you also got to subscribe, so we can, because it's going to be important how this shapes up to be. But anyways, guys, I think that's going to do it right there. It looks like we just got our top. Yeah, we see how we came up here. We took the high and we came back down. Let's turn on the sequential here. Let's look at the 30-minute chart. Okay, we actually made it to a 9. We took the high and we came right back down. Let's look at the wave structure here. So you can kind of also see a 1, 2, 1, 2, right? And then all of this is 3, 4, and 5. So it looks like wave 3 is done, right? So 1, 2, 3, and now we're going to get wave 4, which should be the same size and length as this, and then we should get hopefully wave 5. And then once we get that, then what we want to see, right, what could be possible is coming all the way back down to like 43 cents, guys. And that's where you can probably buy the dip too, right? You can buy here, but if we just get another fifth wave, we're going to get a big retracement back down here, right? So this whole thing's going to be wave 1. Hopefully, this is the hope, right? So far it's 3. We want 4 and 5. If we don't get 4 and 5, then we'll reevaluate. But we want 4 and 5, and then we want a big ABC all the way back down to 43, 44 cents, right? At least 47. And then climb up to the upside. Unless, there's a big landslide victory coming this week or next week or whatever, and it just explodes the price to whatever. But structurally, this is what I'm looking for. So when I zoom out a little bit, this is what I want to see. Something like that. I want to see a big pump, a three-way pullback, maybe not that deep the way I've drawn it, but somewhat of a deep correction that scares the hell out of everyone, and then an explosion back to the upside. So get ready, guys, because I think there's a big possibility here. So when we look at the 8-hour chart, where we actually made it to a 9, look how beautiful that is. We had a 9, and then look at this. The following candle is a topping tail. This is letting you know this is time to take some profit here, right? So you can see right here, I'm about 284%, right? I'm still in 39.23 entry. So 39.23 is actually right, 39.2, about right there. So that's a pretty dang good entry. Sometimes it doesn't work out that well, but I got a good entry, so I got plenty of wiggle room here. See, the problem is if I sell it all and I take my profit, which maybe I will, maybe I won't, not financial advice, but I'm going to ruin my good entry here. And if we pull back just a little bit and then it continues to shoot up, I'm going to have missed it, right? So I could take some profit and then buy back in later, but I really want to wait and see how it matures. I want to see how it corrects, right? I don't mind selling it at a lower price if I'm wrong, but I don't care. What I want to see, right? Do we come up in an ABC, hit the high, then come back down, right? Do we just come back down impulsively? Do we sort of make a flagging shape, right? Do we do some kind of inverse head and shoulder? I mean, there's a lot of things that can form here. So we'll see how that all shapes up to be. But make sure to subscribe, and that way you'll stay up to date, and I'll let you know as soon as it happens. But anyways, guys, please like the video, drop a comment, let me know what you think, what's going on. Do you think XRP has officially bottomed? Do you think this is a big turnaround, or do you think this is a big bull trap and we're going to go all the way back down? I mean, it's possible. Anything's possible, right? I wouldn't think so, because we have 5 ways. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then we have a strong impulse. So the very least, we're going to come back down, and then we're going to have another wave up. So it's at least going to be an A, B, C. But hopefully it's a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, right? So that's what we really hope to be. Now, again, this also could be building a range in here. What I mean by that is this. So that's your Wyckoff area right there, right? And that's another thing that I forgot to tell you about, right? Right? We've been also tracking this as a Wyckoff accumulation structure, right? So you can see this was looking really, really good, right? It was a little bit challenging to read at times, but I think we did a pretty good job here, because right here, right, we came down, right, and we have this 3-way move up, you come back down. Same thing here. You had this 3-way move up, or actually it was 3 up, and then you came back down, right? And then, right, you started moving your way back up. It was kind of a truncated, weird wave. Same thing here. And then you have your spring phase, right? So this phase here, sort of your creek in here, right? And that was your sort of your low, like right in here. So here's another really good example here, and I can remove this one, put this one here, right? You can see, actually, let me just do this. You can see right here is your creek, right? Here's your creek. And we were following this as well. We came up, we had these points here, boom, 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 right? We fell into our creek, right? And then we come down here, we grab that liquidity. We come down here and grab that liquidity. And that was important because it was coming off a 5-wave move. It was also coming off the reaccumulation structure. It was also coming off a wave 2, like the whole, right, the whole macro wave 2 that we've been looking at here. So this whole thing, let me just remove that because we already know, right? This whole wave 2, 1, 2, right? It was also a fractal of the reaccumulation structure back in 2017, right? So we also have the lawsuit, XRP ETF, Ripple IPO. We have regulations coming. Trump's going to be president. And the Federal Reserve is probably going to be reconstructed. We're going to transition out of the old central banking fiat currency system into a new decentralized, crypto-based, blockchain-based, right, gold-backed system that holds accountability. When we went off the gold standard, right, the dollar's just been dying ever since. And I believe Trump is a gold bug, right? Look at his look at Trump's rooms in his casinos and his hotels. It's all gold, 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 gold. He's a big gold guy. So he's a sound money guy, right? And I think when Trump gets in, he knows the biggest problem with the United States is not like Biden or Russia or things like that. It's actually our financial system. The financial system is the #1 problem with the world. It's why we had C19. It's why we have all these problems. And Ripple, XRP, why I'm gravitating it towards it so much is because it's one of the best things that could have happened to the world of crypto, and Ripple has done a really good job, you know, navigating the political waters, the banking waters, right, and positioning Ripple. And by the way, their stable coin is going to be a big deal. People think it's a bad thing. It's actually a really good thing. So everything's positioning itself for XRP, because if you have all these big problems in the financial system, you're going to need solutions. What are those solutions? Well, it can't be Bitcoin, right? Because Bitcoin is too clunky, it's too slow, right? I'm not saying it's going to be XRP, but I am saying that the XRP ledger can support a lot of the CBDCs if they're going to come out with that. I think the bad guys are going to push their CBDC plan. I think they, the good guys are also going to push their plan. So, the financial system is coming to an end. So there's going to be I think, a transition. And we have crypto, right, the infrastructure built out. So I think that's going to be a good thing. And it all starts with one candle, right? It all starts with one candle. Everyone thought this was going to be the candle. But look, this was coming at the end of a 5-wave move, right? This is coming at the bottom of a 5-wave move, right? So that's the difference here that we have to keep an eye on. So we might even backtest this trend line, right? We have a nice looking, falling wedge here, right? So a lot of times, you come up here and you kind of revisit back, right? And then come back up. But anyways, I'm going to come out with another update probably tomorrow or the next day. We'll jump more into things that I didn't get to talk about. But that'll do it for this video. Appreciate everybody, and I will catch you guys on the next one. Hit that like button if you haven't already, and if you want to drop a comment and let me know what you guys think, I'd really appreciate that as well. And yeah, we'll see how this plays. But I wouldn't buy here. I think it's gonna drizzle back down a little bit here. It's already starting to do so, right? So we had a 1, 2, 3. This looks like it's going to be a wave 4, and I think it's going to flag out for a little while. So just be careful, and a big retrace is actually a good thing, right? So if this comes all the way back down, everyone's going to say, see, it was just a pump and dump, blah, 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 blah. But it's actually a good thing, right? I kind of don't want it to break back below here, though. I kind of want it to stay above 46 cents, right? Because this was so much support in here. So if we lose that and we come back down here, it's going to be kind of hard, right? So it would actually draw it right there. So that's what I'm thinking, right? Unless it just flags out a little bit, hits the high, and then comes back down, whatever the case may be. But I think a correction's coming. All right, guys, that's it for real this time. I'll catch you on the next one. Cheers.